Chrissy Ann. All right, Miss Willow, you ready? Willow's like, I gotta get in my spot. All right, give me my high five. Thank you. All right, let's do this. Hello, and welcome back to Women for Wealth. So today I want to talk about your freedom number. Everybody has it. There's that number that says, you know what? I am financially free. I can live the wealthy life that I want to live. I can create whatever future I want for myself, and I'm not going to have stress and worry and anxiety over money. That is your freedom number. And this isn't, FU money, by the way. Elon Musk and a couple other people around the world have FU money. That's not attainable for most of us. Don't focus on FU money, focus on your freedom number. Your number where you can live the wealthy lifestyle and be happy and not worry about your finances. Again, most of us we chase trying to be a millionaire. And being a millionaire feels impossible. I guarantee you, though, you have earned $1 million in your life. If you've worked a standard work career, you've earned $1 million. It's just that you have to spend it. So let's talk a little bit more about how we get to that dream number, that freedom number. It's a number that what makes you joyful, what gives you stability, that you're going to be able to survive and thrive and you're going to be able to live a wealthy lifestyle. That's your number. I don't want you to focus on a traditional retirement where you work till you're 65 and a half or 72 or whatever that number is that the federal government says you need to be before you can retire now. I want you to find financial independence. I want you to retire a little along the way. So I want you to be blessed with the ability to work when you want to work and don't have to work when you don't want to. I have several contractors that I utilize that have retired from electric utilities. They don't want to work full time. They just want to work occasionally. So I contract with them and I literally have a guy that he's like, hey, I'm taking the month of June off because I'm going to be fishing. Okay, have fun fishing. I hope the fish bless you with biting a lot and you have a lot of fun and you find peace. And then when he comes back from fishing, his wife wants to upgrade a kitchen. He's like, hey, I need to work. I need to make some extra money. She wants to upgrade the kitchen. I don't want to touch the assets or the savings. So I want a project. Okay, fine. And I give him a project. Now, I know not all of us have that flexibility, which is why I want to recommend that you focus on multiple revenue streams. They're talking about AGI coming up and robots and AI taking over, and there's not going to be any jobs, so we're going to need universal income. Universal income de incentivizes people to push and to thrive and to innovate and to create things because there would be no benefit. You always hear the greater the risk, the greater the reward. Well, if there's no reward, you're not going to take the risk. So that's why I'm against universal basic income. So you got to come up with a non-traditional job as a way to make money. Content creation is one great way. Another great way is to take your hobbies and turn them into part-time side jobs. Doesn't need to be a lot of time, doesn't need to be a lot of effort. If you're already doing it, see if there's a way to monetize it. Monetize as much as you can. If you like to crochet at night, start selling your stuff on Etsy or at the local farmer's market. I know at the local farmer's market, a lady had some scarves that she had crocheted. She wanted like $50 a piece for these scarves. Now, they were beautiful, but I didn't buy one. Obviously, she's done some price testing, and that's kind of the going rate for a handmade scarf at the local farmer's market, which great for her. I'm glad she's able to do something she's going to do anyway that she enjoys doing and also be able to benefit herself with having an additional income stream. So let's talk a little bit more about, how do you get your freedom number? What is it? So let's think about how we determine that number. So the first thing you want to do is you want to look at your monthly consumptions. Your non-negotiables, your rent, your mortgage, your food, utilities, health, and anything you got to have that just kind of gives your soul joy. You got to have some of that. Include that in your monthly budget. If you like to travel, if you're like me and you love gardening, please check out my other channel, Heather's Greenhouse. I love to garden. I do it anyway. So if I can video it and put it up and I can monetize it, better because that helps offset my cost. Because it doesn't matter. There's always going to be costs associated in whatever you do. So if you can take those costs and monetize them, then it's not coming out of your budget. So step two, you're going to look at anything that's annual. The insurance payments, the tax payments on your properties, things like that are one time a year. Make sure you include that in your monthly budget. Take the number annual, divide by 12, and that's your number you're going to put in your budget each month. Apologize for that. That was Chrissy and snoring. Chrissy, you're sleeping on the job. Step three, you're going to figure out what your multiplier is. You are going to take your annual total and multiply that by 25. So if you have on your budget $4,000 a month in expenses, you're going to take that times 12. That's $48,000 a year. And then you're going to multiply that number by 25. And that's 1.2 million. So 1.2 million is your freedom number. That number is going to feel big, but don't panic. You know what? We have things that we're going to be talking about that'll help. In addition, I did a video called Fire, and I'll have the editor link it down below. So let's talk about how do you get to your freedom number. Now that you know what it is, now that you've calculated it, you've done the basic math, you know your number. How do you get there? What's your strategy? You got to address the gap. Women often have different career trajectories. Their breaks due to caregiving. We're the sandwich generation. We're taking care of our parents while we're raising our kids. There's a lot going on, and women traditionally make less than men in the same exact positions. So you have a little bit of a difference there. Just acknowledge it. Don't get upset about it. Don't dwell on it. Just, you know what? I've had a different career path than my husband. I need a different idea. So the first thing you can do that will help is cut one of the big three or reduce one of the big three. So that's housing, transportation, and food. So how do you cut your housing cost? Maybe you look at your freedom number and you say, you know what? I have this big, huge 5,000 square foot house. I'm not raising little kids anymore. The kids, unfortunately, just do not come to visit often enough to justify maintaining a 5,000 square foot house. So I'm going to downsize. And you sell your house, you buy your next house with the equity, you pay it off in full, you don't have a mortgage, you don't have rent, you got a house to live in, paid in full. It's a lot smaller. It's going to be less for you to clean, less for you to clutter up, less for you to maintain, less for you to heat and cool. So there's a lot of benefits to having a smaller house. It's not to say, oh, well, I got to go live in a little tiny studio. No, you don't. You can still get, if you go from a 5,000 square foot house to a 2,500 square foot house, that's half the square footage. That's going to be a lot of savings. And in my experience, 2,500 is still too big. I would love to get down to 1,200 square foot. That really, I think, is my sweet spot. I don't know if we're going to get there or not. I have other people in my life that I have to take into account. So that's just an idea. How can you reduce transportation? So if you live in a city, that's easy. Don't own a car. Use public transportation. But if you're like me and you live out in the country in the middle of nowhere, you've got to have a vehicle. So how do you reduce your transportation cost? Number one, you do not carry a note. You get an older car, you pay it off as quick as you can, you keep it till the wheels fall off. And y'all, I practice what I preach on this one. I currently have a 2007 Mazda Miata, which is my primary vehicle. We have a 2012 Ford Mustang that my son still drives. We have a 2014 Ford Explorer that my husband still has. Now we do have a pickup truck for my husband because we do have a camper and we've got a boat. And we have to have, the ability to move those things. So we do have a Chevy Silverado. It is a 2024, I think. I'm not sure. But anyway, we got it at a time when there was a really great deal. There was 0% financing for a period of time, and then it went up to 5% fixed, so 0% and then 5%. And y'all, I have thrown the kitchen sink at that note. I have got it down. I've got it paid off. I mean, if I had my house paid off, I wouldn't have any recurring debt outside of, the monthly necessities, the food, you got to buy shampoo, toothpaste, you know the drill. So let's talk about food. How do you reduce food costs? You grow a garden. As I said, I have another channel, Heather's Greenhouse. Now, on my channel, it is not for beginners. It is not a how-to. It is not perfectly manicured. I work a full-time job. I have multiple revenue streams. I have a family. I have a lot of responsibility. I don't have time to have a perfect garden, and it's just me. So the reason I have Heather's Greenhouse is to show real life gardens to real life people. So, because it happens, you get a little, you know, guilt, or you feel like you're missing out, or you're not doing good enough, or you get jealous. Whatever it is, whatever that little tug inside you is when you watch a beautiful garden. Laura with Garden Answer, her yard is gorgeous, but she has a full team. And I don't want anybody to watch that channel and think that's the expectation and that's how your garden should look every day. No, come check out my channel. See the mess that I have most weeks. If nothing else, you can come and you can look at Heather's Greenhouse channel and you can say, at least my yard doesn't look as bad as hers today. So whatever works for you. But grow food. Right now it's a little early in the season, but you can still grow cool season crops. Your lettuces, your kales, things like that. I've got all those planted in my yard. I've got potatoes, I've got onions. So I've got a lot of stuff already started that is food, and that offsets my budget. And I am a cheap gardener. I mean, obviously, finances are important to me, so I try to be as cheap as I can. And so I am spending the least amount on my inputs to get the most amount of food to feed my family. It's all organic, it's healthy. I control what we eat, and I'm saving money. I'm offsetting the grocery budget. So I highly recommend grow what you eat. If you don't like cucumbers, don't grow cucumbers just because everybody else does. But if you like cucumbers, grow you a cucumber. Now I know cucumbers at the grocery store can be 50 cents, but who knows where they were grown. You've got transportation costs on top of that. They're all sprayed. You felt a grocery store cucumber is kind of waxy. That's not how cucumbers really feel. Grow your own cucumber. It's healthier and you offset the cost. Another thing you can do is, look at low cost index funds for your investing. I don't want you to go get a 1% or more financial investor to invest on your behalf and control your investments at this point. There are AIs. There's a lot of information out there. You can do your own research. You can learn how to do your own investing. And then you find a way to lower your costs because you're buying your own stocks, you're managing your own portfolio. And you can definitely do that. You do not have to pay somebody to manage your portfolio. So here's my challenge to you. I want to know, what's your monthly survival budget, whatever that is. Maybe you have a more luxurious lifestyle and you need $10,000 a month. That's fine. Whatever your number is, take your monthly survival number, multiply by 12, get your annual number, multiply by 25. That's your freedom number. And let me know, what is that? I challenge you, do the calculation, put below what's your freedom number, and let's get there together. So until next time, I wish you health and wealth.